There's a lot of confusion surrounding this approach. Two extremes I've shown here. People who do a lot of harm by making very exaggerated statements like just think right and your cancer will disappear, which of course is rubbish and is harmful to some people. But the other extreme is almost as bad. Some particularly specialist physicians, not all, I don't want to generalise, but there's a tendency for oncology to be very conservative, understandably. And some oncologists will say the mind has no influence, go home and forget about it, or there's nothing you can do. I mean, these comments are relayed to me all the time. Very disempowering comments if the person, takes them as gospel and thereby ceases to look around for what they might do to help themselves. So why doesn't everyone do this if it's so great? Well, we need to understand it. We need to understand what's possible, and we need to believe that we can do it and that will make a difference. Those are the motivational requirements for any change. Most people in the community, including health professionals, don't understand it very well and therefore don't value self-help. It's partly too, everyone's so busy, this kind of instructional work takes a bit of time, goes to the bottom of the pile, and there's a tendency for the busy professional to just focus on what they're good at, which tends to be materialistic remedies and procedures. So we have to do it. If we're cancer patients, we have to do the work of looking around and working at it ourselves rather than relying on someone else. It requires making changes, as I've said. It takes some time and effort, which is a bit of a barrier for some. Yeah, we're asking ourselves to take some responsibility for our experience, our state of mind, our health. I don't mean to be too down on health professionals. I guess I am one myself, really. But too much negative information can be harmful. Undervaluing of psychological therapy, as I said, can be harmful. Even not going beyond support can hold people back. Dismissing the possibility of self-help through unawareness, through this kind of remark, and through being afraid, a legitimate fear that people will blame themselves if they get the idea that they've just got to try hard enough and they can overcome their disease. That's not necessarily so either. These things have to be presented in a nuanced, responsible way, obviously. And then administrators will tell you, in the present financial condition and a situation, we couldn't possibly add another program to our, this has been going on for a long time. This is just an example of teaching people to help themselves is economic. There's been studies in various areas showing that it saves money, is very cheap compared with high-tech medical procedures. This is no exaggeration. One bone marrow transplant for breast cancer, which doesn't work anyway, we now find out. You can do an awful lot of self-help training for that amount of money. And these are some of my colleagues in recent years. Claire Edmonds has been with me for 25 years or so. I'm basically retired now, but Claire and these others are still doing work in this area in various community centres. My wife helps me now with a lot of the groups. We're a mom and pop outfit. Yeah. So the Healing Journey program, I'll speak a bit about that now. Here's the 5 stages we identify at the moment, and Petra and her team have remarkably, I think, within less than 2 years, have gone through all of these 5 stages. It took me 20 years to get to this stage back in Toronto. Coping with cancer stress, sort of introductory session, teaching some basic coping skills. I'll say a little more in a moment. Skills for healing, 8 weeks for those who want to go on. It's about 2/3 in our experience. This gives people a chance to put their toe in the water, see if this is for them or not. And if it's not, they can leave with dignity without any sense of failure. Thanks very much, but no thanks, that's not for me, or I've got enough. Then the hard work of understanding mental habits, maybe half those who start are up for that. Then becoming authentic, this is based on our study of remarkable survivors. And then getting into the spiritual study. And at this point it becomes open-ended and dependent on the people who are teaching in a given setting. And we encourage people to get out in the community and look for groups like meditation groups, spiritual groups, personal growth groups. And explain we're really just introducing you to this vast field of self-understanding. It's so fascinating and so helpful if you have a crisis. Ongoing discussion groups, ongoing support for people with cancer, very important. I mean, we know from research that 6 weeks course doesn't do much at least in some areas, hasn't been tried in cancer, as far as I know. People with cancer need support for years rather than weeks, and would need to seek it. So those are, to summarise, those are the main aspects of the program, the Healing Journey program, stepwise for motivated people, family members too. Just about as bad to be a support person as it is to have cancer. Developed over 30 years. It's empirically based. It's not an ideologically based program. I'm not a Buddhist or anything like that. I'm not trying to push any one line. I'm sure Petra isn't either. It's based on what we found to be helpful, and there's been a lot of research on different aspects of the program to demonstrate that. Published, of course. This is the new edition that Francis and Petra and the staff, Paul Doria, have put together. Very nice view of the lake country, I gather. These are the materials that are available. These are 3 books I've published. This is the one that's being reissued, somewhat revised. These are workbooks, and there's a 5th one, not in hard copy form, which you can download free from this site or from the link attached to the Paul Doria site, and some audio tracks on relaxation and so on, which Francis Miller has very kindly put on, available for anyone to put down on their iPod or whatever. So even if you're way out in the country and there's nobody to lead a group, you can download the materials and start working yourself if you wish to. That's the idea. Yeah, so I tell people that when they first come, you want to be passive, you want to be active. If you want to be active, are you going to look outside only? Of course, go get medical treatment, first line of defence. Do you want to look inside as well? I won't spend much time on the detail of the program. I can describe it to you more at the reception if you want. But level 1, you can do I've done it with 100 people at a time, or you can do it with 5 or 6 in a small circle. Teaching and taking people through these basic techniques. Relaxation, stress management ideas, mental imagery. I'll illustrate that in a moment. Clarifying goals. Vital life skills. Why don't we all do it? I don't know. I mean, I want to be taught in schools. Bit of evidence, just showing the size of the bar represents the amount of improvement in a 6-week course. Randomised trial comparing Healing Journey plus support with support alone. On 2 different occasions, 2 different ways of measurement. It was clearly superior. Others have shown the same. Here's level 2. Once people are interested and want to get going on it, we teach mind watching and keeping a journal. Writing is very helpful to concretize what you learn. Meditation, we teach actually 2 methods. Imagery, visiting the cancer, sounds odd, but people get onto that. Consulting an inner healer, personalised source of inner wisdom. Looking at goals, what would it be like if you had 1 week to live? What would you do? It's a tough exercise. It has to be, we need to prepare, if you're going to do that, you need to prepare yourself for it. But it can sharpen, clarify what is really important. Is going back to the office and working 12 hours a day, is that really so important? I have 1 week to live. Well, might I do something else? Like spend some time with the family, letting go of resentments. The spiritual journey we introduce for review.